The Nuggets' biggest game of the season so far is here as the Nuggets face the Rockets on Friday in Houston. We'll break it down. We'll give you the lay of the land. We'll give you the big matchups. Can JOKIC take out Alperen Sengun? Plus, Peyton Watson's emergence and what it means for his future. All that and more coming up on Swipe and Gripe on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us, making us part of your day, being an everydayer, making us your first listen, being part of our community. We appreciate you guys taking time out of your week to spend time with us, whether on the podcast or on the video side of youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. We're available on all platforms, free and available for every Nuggets fan to enjoy. Appreciate you guys being with us. This is a Swipe and Gripe for a Thursday. We'll break down the game versus the Houston Rockets coming up. We want to preview that one because it is the biggest game of the season so far. We'll talk about Peyton Watson's emergence. We'll get into all that and more, and I'll do that as I am Matt Moore, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I write at the Denver Dig. I write at Hardwood Paroxysm. I write at Fansided. I'm co-host of Locked On NBA Daily, and I am been a credentialed reporter for the Denver Nuggets for 14 seasons. Joined by Swipa at SwipaCam, who is adored by the millions and millions on the old YouTube space, Player's Choice, Press Box, Locked On NFL Game Night, all sorts of stuff. Make sure to follow him and check out all of his great work. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Swipa. Tomorrow night is the biggest game of the season, like I said, so far, because you never know when the next big game of the season is going to come. But it's Rockets-Nuggets. The Thunder are up there, and they're doing their thing, and they're beating everybody by 20, and they're a beast, and they're going to be hard to beat, and we'll deal with them when we get to them. But this Rockets team, everyone kind of thought like, ooh, are the Rockets going to be the second best team in the Western Conference when they got Kevin Durant? And then they lost Fred VanVleet, and everyone was kind of like, no, it's probably Denver. It's probably going to be Denver. And now, it's a real battle. This is going to be an absolutely huge game. It's huge for standings. It's huge for cup play, which the Nuggets, I think, want to make it, but not that much. It's huge for just evaluating where this team is in the scope of things, given, the weak schedule. Denver's played a lot of good teams without missing players. They're without Christian Brown, Rockets without Dorian Finney-Smith, Rockets playing great basketball. This should be an absolutely huge game. What are your first thoughts kind of as we look towards this matchup?
That it will be a fun, physical game that is going to feature a lot of very long, tall, big athletes. From JOKIC to Sengun to Gordon if he plays, Kevin Durant, Peyton Watson will be starting at the 2 guard versus Amin Thompson. That's going to be fun to see the athletic explosion between the two of them. Seeing Jamal Murray navigate that defense, obviously Jabari Smith Jr., Josh Okogie is going to be starting more than likely in that lineup. They might start Steven Adams, not sure. They might bring him off the bench. Who knows? That's going to be a fun conundrum to figure out. I think we might see Jonas Valanciunas and Nikola Jokic versus Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun. That will be fun. I think that this team is going to have a lot of grit and fight. Bruce Brown versus the bench minutes is going to be very interesting, especially the defense that he's going to play versus Kevin Durant. All the way up and down, man, this is going to be a game that requires discipline on both sides. As obviously the Nuggets, they are going to try to absolutely rip the Houston Rockets apart on the inside, and especially off ball. Jokic at the nail, trying to get things flowing towards the rim, running the horn set, running the double pin down. They run for Jamal Murray where he runs around both of those screens with Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic for the handoffs. It's going to be fun to figure out how they navigate that. Can the Nuggets get Alperen Sengun switched out onto Jamal Murray? And then can Jokic then have a smaller defender on his backside? Are they going to help weak side? Are they going to not help? Will they be doubling, soft double, hard double, single coverage versus Jokic in the post? There's going to be a lot of very different lineups that is going to be played around with in this matchup. Now, the thing I'm most interested to see is that will the Houston Rockets keep their absolutely historically great three-point shooting up on Friday? because that has been one of the stories of the season for me as you have navigated the Houston Rockets team this year. If people don't know, the Houston Rockets have been the best three-point shooting team in the league. They're shooting 42.3% from three this year. Now, not on a lot of volume. They have the least.
That's not a lot of volume. On the lowest volume in the league.
Yeah, lowest in the league.
It is aim small, miss small.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is about it, Matt, if you look at some of the numbers for the players, the problem with Houston is that I believe they have 7 players. Let me get this correct. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players shooting above 40% from three. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players shooting above 44% from three. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4 players shooting above 50% from three to start the year off. Now, I talked about this yesterday on Players' Choice. I do not believe that will sustain itself. But right now, that is a dangerous weapon. They are currently the number 1 offense in the NBA, Matt Moore, and they are currently the number 1 offense in the NBA in part because they are collecting 40% of their offensive rebounds this season, and then on top of that, shooting a blistering 42% from three. That is an absolute nightmare. We'll see how the Nuggets guard that. They'll have to play with much more defensive intensity than they have versus the Bulls and the Pelicans. But this is going to be a fun chess match.
Yeah, so let's talk about the double big lineup and kind of get into that. So if they play it, let's assume the AG's back for this one because I expect him to be. I think they rested him versus Pels. If they decide to go double big to start, which I don't necessarily think that they will because Jabari's been so good for them, but if they were to go to that lineup early with Sengun and Adams, I don't necessarily honestly mind it because I don't mind like AG versus Sengun is one of those where it's like, yeah, Sengun can body him and go in the post. Like a big question here is like, do you double or do you kind of live with Sengun? Because it's kind of the same stuff with Jokic, right? Like, do you want to make him? Sengun is behind Jokic in his development, like he's where Jokic was at Sengun's. Like he is where Jokic was when Jokic was his age. And Sengun, I think, is a little worse in a lot of key areas. Like he's not as good as Jokic, and that's an unfair standard to hold him to. But Jokic had a problem with like, hey, you're gonna have to score every single time. So like, if they're gonna go double big, I would play AG and play him straight up. If he gets in foul trouble, go to the double big lineup and combat that way. A good question then is like, do you counter program in the other minutes when they bring in Clint Capella? Because I think Capella's played well for them, but that's been one area where they've kind of struggled is in those bench minutes relatively. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wonder if you go smaller in those minutes rather than trying to combat with Val, because I don't love the idea of Val having to contain in pick and roll coverage versus Clint because he's so good at that, even with the Rockets not necessarily having a point guard. With Sengun, though, I'll just ask you, like, okay, do you give him the respect of we're going to double you and make you a passer and we're going to try and take that away? Or do you stay home and be like, look, man, you can score 30, but we're going to try and limit your ability to control the game with your passing?
Nah, I don't think you double. And just, you show help, you show respect, obviously. But Sengun, I'm looking at some of his numbers on Synergy, and this might be a little bit of a preview for some things to expect in the future. But Sengun right now, I mean, he's on Synergy, he's at 0.93 points per possession on post-ups. He's at 1.0 points per possession on isolations, which is good, for a big. But the shooting efficiency is not like crazy. I think some of this is just about he's shooting league average, I believe, on the season. Now, Sengun has developed a 3-ball this year. He's taking more of those things. So I think a lot of this is just going to be where is he going to try to maximize his value on the court and where does he think he can win the most? Now, if they do run pick and roll, I expect that Sengun's going to be playing at the nail a little bit more. And at that juncture, then you're talking about over-the-top jump shooting. And that is something I think absolutely you let him live with. Jokic is going to be big on him, though, because Jokic is going to have to body him because Sengun's going to try to drive to the lane. He wants to be physical around the rim, and I think Jokic is definitely going to be the primary matchup on a lot of that, even if they do at times go to the Steven Adams lineup. I think a lot of this is just about making sure you're maintaining your integrity because the thing is, Matt, Houston doesn't beat you on the initial shot. Houston beats you on the second shot, and then Houston beats you on the third shot. That's the thing you can't do. If you allow them to get 23 offensive rebounds, well, that's how they score 122 points per possession. So you can't let them do that. I think a part of this is Jokic, Aaron Gordon, Peyton Watson, Cam Johnson, Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, Jonas Valanciunas. The biggest story of this game, beyond the initial defense, Matt, is securing the glass. Because you win the defensive rebounding battle, that's how you win the game versus Houston.
Yeah, let's talk more about that because I think there's some interesting numbers in that and a couple of keys to kind of look out for as far as the offensive rebounding go and how it is that Houston really dominates there so much. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Let's talk about something every business owner knows too well, and that's missed calls. When a customer tries to reach you and can't get through, that's money slipping away. Quo, spelled Quo, is a smarter way to run your business communications so you never miss an opportunity. Quo is the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. Your whole team can share one number and collaborate on calls and texts like a shared inbox, which means customers get help faster. That's huge. The built-in AI is a game changer. It logs your calls, writes summaries, and even sets up follow-ups automatically. It makes small businesses feel big and big businesses feel efficient. No wonder over 90,000 businesses are already using Quo. Try Quo for free at QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. And yes, you can even keep your existing number. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We're also brought to you today by Rugiet. Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them before. It's just stress, tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. It's fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rugiet.com, RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Swipe and Gripe with you on a Thursday, previewing Rockets Nuggets. So, Swipe, the Houston Rockets are, in fact, the #1 team in offensive rebound rate. In non-garbage time, they're collecting 39.9% of their misses. So, to put that in perspective, they shoot 10 times, they get an OREB on 4 of them. Like, that's another opportunity. They turn 10 shots into 14 opportunities with that kind of offensive rebound rate. Now, Denver, on the other hand, is #2 in defensive rebound rate. They allow opponents to rebound just 26% of their misses. So it's that battle that's really going to decide this. And one of the things that when I was watching Houston last night, as they beat the crap out of the Cavaliers for most of that game, they're really good at understanding floor balance where they shift action one way, you force that defense other, and that weak side, they're not crashing for cuts. They do cut quite a bit, but they're crashing to get that offensive rebound. And it's KD and it's Sengun creating those opportunities and the other guys kind of swooping in. Who do you think has the most responsibility to kind of limit this tomorrow? Is it AG? Is it going to be the wings? Who's got to do the rebounding tomorrow?
Say it with me. 3, 2, 1. Peyton Watson.
Peyton Watson. Okay.
And the reason why is because when you rebound versus the Rockets, you rebound perimeter out because the issue is Jokic is going to be there. Gordon, depending on where he's going to be on the floor, if he's guarding KD on a jumper, is not going to be there. So then the best next athlete you have on the floor is Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson, in some ways, has taken over what Michael Porter Jr. did last year. Because Porter was great at coming from the outside of the paint, getting rebounds inside the paint, and then reestablishing position with the ball. I think the issue is that Peyton Watson had 12 rebounds yesterday. I think Peyton should be looking at these kind of opportunities. I believe he had 10 rebounds in another game too this year, Matt, if I remember correctly. That was a career high, I want to say. So this season, 10 and 12, I think Peyton has a big responsibility tomorrow night because Jokic, let's say he gets 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 rebounds. That's great. You know where else he got 19 rebounds once, Matt? Remember versus Game 7, Minnesota Timberwolves? 34 points, 19 rebounds, and they still got out-rebounded. So I think a lot of this is going to take structural discipline on the entire team, and especially given where the court is going to be laid out. I think Peyton's going to have a big responsibility there. Jamal should be looking to get 5 or 6 or 7 rebounds tomorrow. Aaron Gordon's not having a great rebounding season. I think he needs to get 6 or 7 rebounds. I think they can't just be like Jokic, grab the board. I think Bruce Brown has to be tenacious on the glass. And also, Matt, there are going to be opportunities for Denver to do to Houston what they do to other teams by securing offensive boards. Now, if the Nuggets are hitting everything, or Jokic, let's say, he's in a slump, by the way, the last couple games. I don't know if you've seen. I think he's at like a 66 true shooting or whatever in the last 2 games. Let's say Jokic is hitting his normal shots, but then now, some of your outside shots aren't going in. I think there's opportunities for you to be able to secure the boards. But the thing is, Houston with me, you just have to be disciplined with where you are, because if you're out of control, meaning if you're out of a play, they will murder you, especially on the offensive end, if you are not maintaining defensive integrity with where you're supposed to be at all times. So for me, it's going to be the outside players and the perimeter players like Peyton that are taking up a lot of that responsibility.
Adams leads them in offensive box out at 1.5. Şengün's at 1 per game. Clint Capella 0.7, like you'd expect from the 3 bigs. Jabari Smith Jr. is a sneaky one.
Yeah.
That's actually one that you need to kind of keep an eye on, is how AG is able to handle Jabari. And the other one here is they don't actually crash as much with the guards as you'd think. It's mostly the centers doing this work. But I do think that if they get cross-matched on switches, like if Jamal gets cross-matched onto a men, Jamal is going to have to box out because a men will dive there. A Kogi will dive. So it's the guys that kind of don't necessarily have those responsibilities a lot that have to be really careful. Now, Jamal had a great rebounding night on Monday versus the Bulls, but going to need to be more. They're going to need to be really attuned on that. One interesting question here, though, is okay. You want to make sure that you contain the offensive rebounds for sure, but there is a good way to play to counter this lineup in particular. And that's not just with pressuring the ball. The 2 big lineup does tend to have high turnover problems. That's their one weakness there. But Denver's not necessarily like a great turnover forcing team defensively. But what they are great at, obviously, is getting out in transition. Historically, haven't been good this year, though. Like, their points per possession mark offensively has not been good. And they just wasted a bunch of shots in transition. But that to me is kind of a counter here, where if you punish them by leaking out, you can kind of scare them a little bit and being like, we're not getting rebounds and they're beating us up the floor. And that's where it becomes like a matter of pain tolerance, right? It's like, do they adapt? Do they switch? Do they go back? But I also don't know the answer this way. But would you rather go against? When I think about Denver, I'm more like, man, I'd rather go against the 2 big lineup than go up against Jabari, who can spot up from the outside and play 5 out. Şengün ripped Jokic to shreds in that Eurobasket game by shooting from the outside. And Jokic doesn't want to go out there. So I think, honestly, the 2 big lineup is the one I'd rather see Denver play against, I think, most of the time.
Well, I think it's not even just about not going out there. It's just, what is the gamble? Because you're playing a math game defensively. Would you rather Şengün take a 3-pointer or a long 2, or would you rather them get an easier shot at the rim, at the paint? And I think that's the math they were playing with Vooch as well. Vooch was not shooting well until he made 2 shots in the 4th quarter from 3. I think some of this is, what is the best option? Do they want to get layups? Do they want to get a KD pull-up? And do they want to get dunks? Well, yes, because they got Amin Thompson. And they're going to run that 3-man game, Matt. That will be the most coordinated offensive attack I think the Nuggets have faced this year, when they run the KD, Şengün, Amin Thompson 3-man game with Amin in the dunker spot and then Şengün at the nail. They're going to try to get a mismatch there, either get a switch, or they're going to try to see if you're overplaying it or underplaying it with Kevin Durant and he can get a wide open jumper off, or at least a lightly contested jumper. I think that I would rather them play versus the double big, but it's really about how they're playing it, because if they're not hitting jumpers, then the double big lineup would hurt them defensively. They have to hit outside jumpers in those scenarios because if SENGUN and Steven Adams are on the floor, that's only going to make it more difficult for Jokic, I think, to be able to score. So they need to try to. Hopefully, they need to be able to sustain like a good enough amount of jump shooting to mitigate some of that.
There's a sneaky player on the Rockets I think the Nuggets need to neutralize. It's not one of the big names. I'll tell you who it is coming up on Locked On Nuggets. When Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands that roll, and a whole lot of settling. Skims Men's changes that. One upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone's been talking. They're designed to feel good, fit right, and actually stay put. No slipping, no sagging, no adjusting. Just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. There is nothing worse than having an underwear issue when you're out. There is no way to look cool when you're having an underwear issue. It is impossible. Avoid that with Skims. They don't ride up, they don't lose their shape, and they hit exactly where they're supposed to on the thigh. Whether you're working, traveling, working out, or just hanging out at home, these feel better than anything that you've used before. You're not going to expect underwear to be a game changer, but Skims completely will shock you. Shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down to let them know we sent you. Plus, the Skims Holiday Shop is open, so if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. We're also brought to you today by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Hey, this is a huge game for cup standings, Nuggets Rockets. This is a huge game for cup standings. If the Nuggets pull off a win here, like they got a really good chance of making it to Vegas for the quarterfinals, semifinals. So be on the lookout for that in the FanDuel offerings as well. Jokic for Cup MVP, another one you can look at. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. All right. So there's one guy that I actually think that they need to target, not only from a defensive vulnerability standpoint, but from a neutralizing the offense, and that's Sheppard. So Reed's going to come off the bench, and they've found a way to get great minutes out of Reed lately. They're covering for him defensively, and he is not just a spot-up shooter. He's got a good two-dribble game. He's got a floater game. He's good at cuts. He's killer on those offensive rebounds where they grab the board and they kick it out to him, and he either shoots or drives. Like Sheppard makes up a lot of their second chance points opportunities. However, he's going to have to guard in these situations, depending on who they stagger. He's either going to have to guard Peyton, Cam, Jamal, or Bruce. And all of those guys can operate in that split cut action that they run. And that to me, Swipa, whoever Amen is on is not running split action. I would think that not to do that. He's the exact type of player that can like get in front of that ball as the lead pass and deflect it, right? With that length and timing and athleticism. Like I would be very concerned about that. But if you neutralize him and put him on the other side of the floor and then run that split action with whoever else is, Cam made some absolutely terrific plays out of that split action last night. He's getting more comfortable in that, as it's not, I mean, it's run a lot in the NBA, but not as often as Denver runs it, not the way it is. So if they decide to hide Sheppard on Cam, that is something I want to look out for, is getting Cam involved on slip cuts for him to be able to punish them with split action stuff.
So then Kevin Durant's the low man in that situation in your mind, or is that Amen?
Yeah.
Okay.
You move him in as far out as you can.
Wouldn't it be more strategic to put him in on the ball then?
It is, but having to try and figure out how to navigate that, I think is tough, because a lot of it also is like, even if you put him on ball, right? Like it's Jokic. Like they're going to have SENGUN guarding Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
All that split action kind of generates a lot with Jokic in the DHO spot. So
do you feel like they should be able to generate points at the rim not fairly easily, but like as consistently as they've been?
Well, and that's the challenge, right? Because the Rockets may go under and just be like, hey, we don't shoot threes, but we make them. and you don't shoot threes, and you make them pretty well.
Yeah.
So we're going to dare you. We think our shooters can beat your shooters. And that's where it's like, look, you're going to have that sequence from that first play of the Phoenix game where Cam backpedaled back out of that split action, was wide open for that three. That's the kind of play that you're going to need to generate. Like, if Denver makes more threes tomorrow, they win. If Denver makes more threes tomorrow, they win the game. If Denver has fewer turnovers tomorrow, they win the game. Like, there's a lot of pathways here for Denver to win this game. But if they get beat on turnovers and from deep, they're not going to be able to keep up. Their defense isn't as good as Houston's, and they're not going to be able to generate enough stops in order for them to be able to have a chance there.
What do you think the fourth quarter lineup will be to close the game tomorrow?
Ooh, good question. Jamal. I actually like this as a Cam game. Cam. THJ. Aaron.
Valanciunas. Oh, my bad.
No.
Yeah, look, there's a possibility that is what happened. I don't know if Houston has the kind of offense that would truly make them, that would punish Denver for having THJ on the court. And to be fair, Tim Hardaway Jr. hasn't been bad defensively this year, but maybe, you know what I mean? Like, he's been disciplined. So a lot of this for me is just, it depends on the night Peyton's having too, because I want to give Peyton credit. Like, if Peyton's like doing what he did versus the Pelicans, and he's doing that this game, and he's playing good defense, then, you know.
So I worry a little bit about him coming off of that game.
Yeah.
Where, him attacking versus a men. That's a different ball game. Like, that's a different deal than it is versus Jordan Hawkins, right?
Respect Jordan Hawkins.
It's just like a little bit different.
Yeah.
Amen's his own category of psychopath. So
do you think Peyton sees himself differently than Amen? Like, do you think when he sees Amen, he doesn't, like, he sees himself a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think he thinks he's on that level.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you need confidence in the NBA. I don't want him thinking, I'm always at the opposite. Like, I love the guys that are like, no, I know who I am. I always appreciate that humility and that perspective, but a lot of guys can't survive that way.
Will this be the best? Actually, you know what's funny? Will this be the best wing defense they've been able to put out versus KD, even including the 23-year? Peyton, Cam, Bruce, and AG?
Yeah, I mean, KCP was pretty good.
Jeff Green, obviously, has some good moments.
That's the thing is, like, you need forwards. Like, I actually like AG on KD quite a bit.
Do you think they'll do that and start the game tomorrow? Or just let Peyton do it and then let AG just be low man?
It depends on what lineup they start, right? If they keep Jabari, then I suppose you can. Who do you put on Jabari then? Do you put Cam on him?
No, I put Aaron Gordon on him.
You want him on them, and you want Cam on AG, or you want Peyton on KD?
What? Who
do you want on KD?
Yeah, Peyton will start on KD because Peyton has shown, because KD is a skinnier body. He's still strong, but Peyton does well in those typical body types. I would just rather him just start there. Jabari, he still is good in the post. Like, he's a spot up shooter, but he also can get physical in the post. I think AG to be a natural fit there. JOKIC on SENGUN, Murray on Okogie, and then Cam on Amen. Yeah, that's probably how I would start it.
Yeah, and I think part of this too is I actually don't think it matters who you put on KD. This is actually a kind of a controversy. Like, you got to really think through this one. KD is going to do what KD is going to do. He's not going to change his shot selection based off of who you put on him. He's not going to change what direction he moves if you put on him. He's not going to call for more screens depending on who you put on him. KD is going to ISO. He's going to hezzy. He's going to pull up, and he's going to make it. He's Kevin freaking Durant. Like, I'm not saying to put Jamal on him. I wouldn't mind it. I would actually just be like, all right. Like, if KD wants to go for 60 on middies, which he can.
Does he have a 60-point game in his career?
I have no idea.
Well, I think, is that a better outcome than just forcing them into KD mid-range offense as opposed to getting the three ball going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way better. Like, that's how Denver can win this game, is if it's you cut off offensive rebound putbacks, you cut off the three ball, everything's mid-range. That's the ideal. Like, that's how you win this game, is you don't turn the ball over and hit threes. They shoot mid-range jumpers and turn the ball over, and you win this game.
What's the offense? His career high is 55, by the way. What do you think the Nuggets do offensively? And then with the last minute, what is your actual outcome prediction of the game tomorrow?
Offensively, I kind of, I really think this is going to have to be an AG game where he's navigating a lot of those kind of actions and punishing them with his versatility. If AG is able to hit some threes, that's absolutely massive. Joker versus Sengun, it's 6. Joker leads Sengun heads up 6-4, but Sengun's had success from him since his rookie season, and Sengun had the win over him in Eurobasket with very different rosters and different situations. I do think that this. I don't know that I think that this is like a Jokic mega scoring game. If it's a mega scoring game, I think that leans towards Rockets. It needs to be one where they're able to get separation and get Houston actually out of their comfort zone and kill them with cuts. Which
he's averaging 34 this month. You think he gets to 34, or like where are we at?
No, I think 29 would be my prediction. About there.
Are the assists there? You think the playmakings are?
Yeah, that's the key. Is I think he gets 29 and 11, and that sets him up for a win. Look, it's a home game for Houston, and I just think that that's a big swing. I said that they would lose this game. I thought they would win the Bulls game. So I need them to win this game so they can get to the 3-1 record I predicted. But as much as I think the matchup is interesting, I also think Houston's playing better basketball than Denver is right now. I just don't think Denver's played great basketball the last couple nights. And
last two games especially, yeah.
So I will go with Houston 112-109.
Actually, bigger agenda question, good sir. The Nuggets have had a 12-point lead in 12 of 13 games this year. Do they extend that to 13 of 14, even if they lose the game on Friday?
Yes.
First half, get up 12, lose the game in the clutch. Nuggets fans go crazy again. We're 0-4 in the clutch.
Yeah, Sengun comes in, stagger minutes, kills JV. That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Hot start for Denver, but they lose the game. That sounds about right.
Okay.
All right, we'll see how it goes. What's your prediction?
I'm going 117-116. Jokic wins off of a free throw for the first time of all time.
Ooh, and Rockets
he makes both free throws in the game.
And the Rockets fans are super mad. Yeah. Wow, and Jokic makes clutch free throws. That is a bold one. All right, that's going to do it for Locked On Nuggets. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have yourselves a great Thursday. We'll be back with you tomorrow for Boom and Gloom, previewing Houston Denver one more time before the game tomorrow night, and then tomorrow night's post-game show with me and Ryan Blackburn. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets. What a game.